Hi guys, Nigel here, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Sorry about the light. As you can see by back here, the light is a really bright day today, and if I have the blinds open, then it's just this side of my face is like a mirror ball and this side is black. So yeah, and if I put the light on in front of me, then you get the light reflected off my glasses. So I'm just a man covered in reflections. Here comes the mirror man. Basically, I just wanted to have a quick little update with you about just a couple of things, really. Three things. One is, the first one I'm going to cover is this one, which is a really strange one. This is Winsor & Newton ink, okay? So you can see on the bottom here, it says liquid Indian ink. So if we look on the top, it says Winsor & Newton liquid Indian ink is a water-based solution of traditional Chinese stick ink. So it's Indian ink, but it's made with Chinese sticks. And then we look on here, but it says Winsor & Newton London, England. Made in France. So we've got something made in France by an English company which is called Indian, that's made of Chinese stuff. So I don't know what that's all about. I'm looking for someone to tell me how to use this stuff. I believe you thin it with airbrush cleaner or something and use it as a wash. I've got a jar here, an old jar that I've made up there, and I just can't seem to make it work. It's either too much or not enough, you know. Maybe someone, I know that Steve Clark's been talking a lot to me about this, and maybe he can come and tell me, but I'd love someone to tell me how to use this stuff, because I know that it's really, really good if you can make it work. So that's the first thing. Second thing, Wingnut wings. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard, but I had a message from one of my subscribers via email, and he told me that he thought Wingnut wings, he'd heard a rumour that Wingnut wings were closing down. Now, I did a bit of research and I couldn't find anything, so I said to him, I said, I don't know what you're talking about, I can't find anything. He sent me a link to a forum, World War I Model Aircraft Forum, and they're talking about it, and there's a guy on there who's absolutely adamant, and apparently certain people at Wingnut wings, I'm not going to make any accusations because I don't want to be sued, but certain people at Wingnut wings have basically sort of just come up and said, yeah, news is not good, it's quite grim. Now, everyone's saying, how can this possibly be? It can't be COVID-19 or whatever. So I've been having a little think to myself, and here's my own sort of, the way I see it, if it's true. I do know there has been some stuff going on with Peter Jackson, something to do about tax laws or something. Again, I don't want to talk about it because I might get it wrong and implicate someone, but I think there's been something going on. So there could be issues there, I don't know. But also we all know that Wingnut wings have their kits moulded in China. Now, we don't know what Chinese law stands at, but we do know that the two big kits that were supposed to be coming out last year, and the one that was supposed to come before the Lancaster was the 0400, and neither of those have made appearances. And I find it very strange that basically that Lancaster and the 0400, I witnessed them. You'll see them on a video that I did in November 2018, and I was at Telford, and I photographed them and I touched them and I held parts of the Lancaster. That was 18 months ago. So 18 months from initial test shot. Well, they weren't even initial test shots. They were, you know, they were not initial top. Maybe the 0400 was an initial test shot, but the Lancaster certainly wasn't. And we've got, you know, we've got oodles of pictures of people sat at Wingnut Wings headquarters with Lancasters around them, you know. So it's very, very strange. Something weird's going on. But I'm wondering if, because of this crisis we've got at the moment, I'm wondering if it's forced the factory to close down. And when a factory closed down and goes into receivership, maybe the government take ownership of everything and destroyed all the moulds. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. It's very, very strange. I hope it's not true. But the one side of this, and the only reason I'm bringing this up, is that if any of you guys want to get hold of Wingnut Wings kits, obviously, if all this is true, they're going to become very hard to come by, and then the prices will skyrocket, and then they'll settle down again. Now, I've got a nice little stash anyway, but there's one kit I've always fancied, which is the Gotha G1, the one with wheels, not the one on skids. So I had a quick look on eBay yesterday, and there were about 4 or 5 on there. And I thought, well, that's okay, then nothing's going too mental, we'll see. I had a look today, there was 1 in the UK. 1. So overnight, somebody's bought 3 or 4 of those Gotha G1s. So I thought, well, I'll get it. So I've bought that one. Okay, so got it for £179. One of the biggest problems has always been, as you know, Wingnut Wings, if you buy direct from the factory, it's posted out from New Zealand, and the postal charges are crippling, and also the customs duty and everything, excuse me, is crippling as well. So basically buying them direct from New Zealand is expensive, and also at the moment, who knows when you're actually going to get them. And also many suppliers around the world don't do very attractive prices on them. Wingnut Wings are not cheap kits, but they are bloody good. They're the only kits I think out there, the injection molded kits that are made by modelers for modelers. You know, things like having the sprue connection point on the bottom of parts, so when you look in the cockpit you don't look at a part with a sprue connection on it. The sprue connection is underneath. You know, you've all heard my story about the Revell BF109 where they molded the fuel line from clear plastic, because just to the right of the pilot here there's a glass bowl that the pilot can see that the fuel's flowing. So it's a really good idea. They molded it in clear plastic so you can paint the rest of the pipe and everything and just leave that piece clear. Guess where they put the sprue connection point? Yep, on that part. On the only part you're going to leave clear, that's where they put the sprue connection point. That is not done by a modeler, that's done by somebody designing a mold tool for maximum flow. So yeah, the thing with Wingnut Wings kits, they are amazing. If you haven't built one, which I haven't, you need to do it. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Their instruction manuals are like a novel. You know, it's like everybody said when the HK Lancaster come out, everybody said it's a great canvas to put your added extras onto. Well, the difference, if it ever appears, with the Wingnut Wings Lancasters, you won't need to put anything else. You might want to add some gun barrels, that'll be it. You know, you might want to get some aftermarket seat belts for it, but that'll be it, and it'll be amazing, and it'll be accurate, and it'll be correct. So yeah, if it ever comes out now, which is a shame. So yeah, my advice to you is, if you do fancy Wingnut Wings, or you've ever fancied getting one in the UK, get yourself on eBay, choose one and just buy it, because if this is true, they're going to sell out like that. They'll be gone. We all know that Wingnut Wings do sort of limited runs, and when they say a kit is gone, generally it is gone. Just look at the Junkers J1 and the Gotha G4. I'm fortunate enough to have both of them. They've never reappeared. So prices for those have been crippling. So yeah, worth checking out, guys. And if you want to believe the rumours or whatever, get yourself out there and order a couple of kits off of eBay now, because they could be gone very soon and never return. The other thing I want to talk about is everybody's waiting to hear me talk about Apollo 13. As we all know, Apollo 13 launched UK time, was 7:13 p.m. 1913 on the 11th of April 1970, and I was there. I'll give you a little bit of background about me and my family and stuff. My mum and dad, my mum worked for Rolls-Royce, my dad worked for BAE, I think it was then, or BAC, and my mum was on the Olympus engine, and my dad was on the TSR-2. They had my sister, what was that, 4 years before me, and then I came along in 1963. In 1966, everything all went pear-shaped over here, so my dad decided we were going to go emigrate to America. So off we went to America, my mum, my dad, my sister and me. Apparently they had nothing, they had not a penny to scratch their names with or whatever. All they had was enough money for the flights. Went over there, lived in various states, I won't go into detail. My dad worked for various companies, but he ended up working for Lockheed in Marietta, Georgia, which meant that I got to, if you know my channel, you've probably seen the pictures, I got to have a walk through one of the first C-5A Galaxies, which was great. And I would have been about 6 at the time, so yeah, amazing. Even 5 maybe, I think that was 1969, maybe early 70. So anyway, along came April 1970, and of course 11th of April was the day the rocket took off, and the 12th of April was my sister's birthday. Now, unfortunately, my sister is no longer with us. She was killed in 1972. She was hit off her bike and killed instantly, which was very, very sad. She was 12 years old, and it was a very, 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 very bad time. It's a day I'll never forget as long as I live. and it was awful. My father unfortunately passed away on his own in 2008. He died quietly in his house, liver failure, whatever, and that was that. So now it's just my mum and I left. But in 2005, on the 12th of April 2005, my father sent my mother this email, and they got divorced many, many years ago, and then my father got remarried, and then his second wife divorced him, and then she passed away, and a bit of a rough time all round really. But no, he sent my mum an email on the 12th of April 2005. So I'll just read it to you, and this is why you will realise after reading this, after hearing this, you'll realise why the Apollo 13, the fact that it all went pear-shaped, and when I read this you'll see why it all means so much. But unfortunately I'm afraid it's not enough to make me want to build that kit, which is there, that Saturn V. I will do it, but I just don't feel like it at the moment, and I'm getting lots and lots of negative feedback from people saying I start stuff and don't finish it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not starting anything else online. Any builds I want to start now I'll do offline, and then I won't get the flack. So anyway, basically, email starts, "Hi there, June. I'm writing," oh sorry, this was sent, yeah, I said 2005 this was sent. "I'm writing because I haven't heard from you in a while, but also because of a little nostalgia. 35 years ago today, and a significant weekend, we all saw Apollo 13 take off on its ill-fated journey. Do you remember flying to Daytona from Atlanta, then on to Tico the next day to see the launch? It was spectacular." Now, when my dad said, "Would you remember flying to Daytona from Atlanta?" he doesn't mean jumping on a 737 or something. No, we took the Cessna. My dad had a couple of Cessnas, and I don't know if they were actually, he owned them or if they were part of the flying club he was in, but yeah. So afterwards, hundreds of small planes wanted to get out, and we got in line in that Cessna 172, our ill-fated journey, and the radios failed, both of them. With a large line behind us, I took off anyway and got an emergency clearance after circling the tower at Daytona to put her down in front of an Eastern Airlines DC-9. Do you remember the feds interviewing me for the disruption? They were upset. It was a holiday weekend, so we had to wait to get the radios fixed. Susan and Nigel loved it because they had an extra day at the beach. On Tuesday AM it was time to go, and with a Delta 727 behind me in the taxi pattern, I felt a glitch in the elevator cable and returned to base, making the tower and the FAA very upset with me again. It turned out the service company had installed the radio antennas around the control cables. You, me and the kids would have all been wiped out had we attempted to take off. I remember being livid when they told me the tech had tried to do it because no installers were working. A couple of hours and all was fine, except that the turbulence was bad at every altitude all the way home. I remember that you and Nigel were very upset at the bouncing around, but nobody got sick and we got home safely. Meanwhile, Apollo 13 had major problems, the only moonshot that did. See the movie, it's a good one. We took off for the UK a few weeks later, the rest is history." And that was it. 1970, later 70, we were back here, and that was it. And as my dad said there, the rest is history. So there we go. That's why it's so important. See you later, guys.